Okay, Google, what's the weather going to be like today?
In the Villages today, it'll be mostly sunny, with a forecasted high of 83 and a low of 62. Right now it's 77 and sunny.
Alright. I'm going to answer a question. Look at that face. Look at that face. Look at there. Yeah. Sue's playing cards. I'm left babysitting. She doesn't like me. As soon as I put her down, she'll take off. There she goes. Well, she goes that far. Over to the other side of the room, turns around and looks at me. Questions. I want to answer a question today. Eileen Veintidos. Veintidos. Get this camera by here, right? Yeah. I think it's focused. I can't hardly tell. I think it's okay. It says, hi Skip and Sue, I just watched your videos for the past 4 months. I have so many questions to ask. By the way, if you go to my YouTube channel, I'm starting to make lists. I'm starting to separate things to help people out a little bit. I'm starting to make a list on question and answers. Everything in there will be question and answers or related to that. I'm going to have another list of home tours of the different homes we've walked through and looked at and showed the difference in Lanai and whatever. So I'm putting the list there. And I'm probably going to have another list for the Friday news and put everything in there. Sometimes I don't call it the Friday news because when I put like a question and answers or a Friday news, a lot of times YouTube doesn't allow me to monetize that video because it says it's not suitable for advertisement. And then I have to send in a complaint, I don't know what you call it, anyway, and then usually anywhere from 2 days to 2 months, it takes a while. They'll usually send me a thing saying, good news, we've taken that restriction off of that video, we've decided that it is okay to monetize, which I know it is, but I don't know what causes that. So to get around that from the very beginning, so I don't even have to argue about it, I've been calling other things like Friday updates, or I'll say Friday and I'll put the date in there. And I get around it. The Q&As, I get around them sometimes by calling them answers that I've got for you, or questions and hopefully I can give you an answer, that kind of thing, and I get around it. So anyway, I'm starting to put them in a list. So it'll be easier for a lot of the people to go find answers to what they're looking for or to see what they want to see. There's going to be another list on there probably of Sue and Deb's shopping adventures. People seem to like that, and as long as you like it, Sue and Deb's willing to do it and give a lady's opinion on the different restaurants, the different shopping areas and things of that nature, and I'll start listing them on there separate. And then, like I said, our Friday news will be probably put on there separate. It takes a while to do this because you got to put each video on there one at a time. I haven't found anything on there yet that allows me to put like 10, 15, 20 videos, boom, at one time. So it's going to take a while. So, let me get on with this. It says, I'm from the north, Rockland County, New York, and am really tired of the cold. Yes, we all are. I'm very interested in moving there in the next 2 to 3 years. I know there's a list of employment available. Does it change often? My husband cannot stay home. He wants to work. He wants to be secured if we move there. I don't know what you're talking about when you say employment available. What kind of employment? I mean, right away, are you talking about full-time employment? You talking about part-time employment? Are you talking about working for the Villages itself? Are you talking about working for a hospital? A landscape company? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll just answer it simply. There's the Villages website, And there's two areas on that website that you can go to. One is for basically villages jobs, some full-time, most of them are part-time, like a guard gate. I did that for, I don't know, a year or so. A golf ambassador, all these kind of jobs. Those part-time jobs come and go all the time. They turn over quick because most people here that work at those part-time jobs, they only work there long enough to pay for something or to save money for something, and then they quit. I mean, it happens all the time. And the villages knows this. When I went through orientation class, they told us that. They said half of you in the next 6 months will end up quitting because we know you're here to save for new carpeting for the house, or you're saving for that next cruise that you're going to take, or you're saving for whatever you're saving money for. And as soon as they get that money, they quit. And the villages is fine with that. The only thing they ask for is a heads up. At least a couple week notice before you're going to quit. That's all they want to know, how many people to have available to call, because they know so many people is going to quit in this month. And so they don't really care. So those part-time jobs are readily available. Full-time jobs, I see them advertised. I don't know how often these things turn over. I don't know. Hospital jobs, I see them advertised in a paper. I don't know how often they turn over for the full-time jobs. I don't know that. Best thing for you to do is call the hospital or call the village's offices and talk to somebody and find out, what's what. I don't know what kind of job you're looking for. Let's move on. The school system has a very low rating. I don't have kids. My sister wants to move near me. I know there's a charter school, but I'm not sure it's guaranteed. Well, I read into that your sister is going to use you for a babysitter. You're going to be in the villages, she's going to be outside the villages, and she's got kids, so when she goes to work, she's going to use you as a babysitter. Well, that's going to render into a problem, a big problem with your neighbors, that every day there's kids at your house. Children can visit you. It can visit you an hour a day. They can visit you 24 hours a day. Makes no difference. They're only allowed to visit you 30 days in one calendar year. So if you've got kids at your house babysitting them every day of the week, it's just a matter of time that a couple of your neighbors are going to complain and they'll be knocking on your door. So here's what my suggestion would be. If you're going to be used as a babysitter for these kids, the villages has, I think it's 4, maybe 5, they have family areas inside the villages. They've always had these. I did a video on them. This is why I'm separating my videos. I did a total video on these family areas, and apparently you haven't even seen it. One of them is Oxford Oaks. It's a family park. And another one's called, I think, Buffalo Ridge. I can't think of all the names of them. But you're allowed to own a house in there, and you're allowed to have children living in those areas. There used to be restrictions in those areas that in order to live in those areas, you had to work for the villages. I don't know if those restrictions are true today. It's something else that you need to ask a salesperson, and you can email them. I've emailed them before and got answers that way. And find out, if she can buy a house in those neighborhoods with these children and not work for the villages, just in case. It's just something to ask. So just keep that in mind. Are there homes with pools that you can show us? I think I have in some of my other videos. Yeah, there's homes with pools all over the place. I'm not sure why anybody really wants to do that, but they do, because the villages has, I don't even know how many, I'm going to say 60, 70 swimming pools everywhere. You have family pools. Those are the ones where you take your visiting children. You have neighborhood pools. Those are the ones for adults only. And then you have recreational pools. Those are the ones where you can do lap swimming, water volleyball, all these different things in those pools. So there's swimming pools everywhere. And you can go to any swimming pool anywhere in the villages with your village's ID card or a village's visitor's pass. You don't have to go to your neighborhood pool, for example. If I go to, I go to Hillsborough Pool. This is just an example. I go to Hillsborough Pool. It's under construction. They're cleaning it up, and that happens every now and then. They go in and they clean everything. It's closed for maybe a day or two. Well, I can just go on down to Lake Deaton's neighborhood pool. Or I can go over to, I'm trying to think of some pools close to me here. I can go over to Pinellas neighborhood pool. I can go over to Collier's neighborhood pools. I can use any of those pools I want. That's what being a village resident is all about. Big lanais. All lanais are different sizes. When you say big, I don't know what you mean. There is no standard size lanai. All these houses have, depending on what house you get, for example, a patio villa has a smaller lanai. Courtyard villas, generally speaking, has a little bit larger lanais. A designer home like what I've got, I have a little bit larger lanai. And then when you get into some of these other different designer homes, like a gardenia, I don't even know all the different models right now, but sometimes lanais can get bigger because you can bump them out. Especially if you've custom built this home on a lot. You can ask to request a lanai to be a 2-foot bump out to the back or 2-foot bump out to each side or whatever. So these lanais are all over the place. If you're talking about a large lanai in a premier home, one that's got an outdoor kitchen installed in a lanai, maybe even have a pool in a lanai, have a hot tub in a lanai, those kind. No, I've never done a video on one of those. I've got a couple neighbors back here that's got those lanais, and I've been there. They're very nice. I've never asked them if I could do a video of it because I don't want to intrude on their privacy, but if I get a chance, I'll see what I can do about videotaping one of those. Do the hospitals take any insurance plan? Well, our hospitals are like any other hospital. Our hospitals are not just villages hospitals only. In other words, they're not closed to outsiders and you have to be a village resident to go there. No, they're not like that at all. And if that's what you think, get it out of your mind. It just happens to be called the village's regional hospital. It's open to the public like any other hospital. I can tell you, I had Blue Cross Blue Shield years ago, and I went to the, used it down here once or twice. I think once. I didn't have any problem. Sue had Aetna, and she never had any problem. Now we're both on Medicare, and I got Medicare Advantage with the United Healthcare down here. I'm in the village healthcare system, and I've been to that hospital for a stress test, and I had absolutely no problem. Sue has, I'm trying to think what she's got, Medicare and Florida Blue, which is Florida's Blue Cross Blue Shield. They call it Florida Blue. That's her supplemental plan. And she's been to the village's healthcare specialists. She's not in the village's healthcare. That's a fallacy that some people don't understand. The village's healthcare specialists will take outside people also. My wife goes to them all the time. She's not in the village's healthcare system, but she can go to these specialists, and she does. She has Florida Blue, and she has not had any problem. So I don't see a problem, but I would recommend calling the hospital administrator office, and I would just simply ask them, tell them what you got, tell them what your plans are, and find out what they tell you. I'm coming down, I can understand what her questions are. So I worked 33 years in a court system, and it's time when I go to visit, are they, I don't know who they is, are they going to take me around to look at houses all day, or should I go for more than 3 days? Are you coming down for a lifestyle visit? You're not saying, I don't know what you're doing. If you're just coming down to rent something for 3 days, I don't know who they is. There's nobody going to bother you. You can rent a hotel room for 3 days. I mean, if you're coming down for a lifestyle visit, then generally speaking, they, which would be the village's offices, would assign you somebody. The last person I talked to, he was assigned somebody from the real estate realty offices. Not all the people in that office are real estate licensed. Some of them are real estate assistants. So he was assigned somebody, an assistant or a realtor, somebody. And I think all they do is they call you. They'll assist you in any way you want. You tell them you want to go, let's say you want to take one whole day. And you tell them, I want to look at houses, and you might help him out a little bit, or her, and tell them, I don't want to go over this price range. I'm looking for a house $300,000 or less. But I want a nice home, say $250,000 to $300,000. And I want to look at least 3 different models, brand new homes. And then I'd also like to look at 3 models, say in the Lake Sumter area, maybe Spanish Springs area, kind of give them an area that you're interested in. And I'd like to look at 3 different models up there, pre-owned, between 250 and 300,000 miles or dollars. And that's what they'll do for you. They'll set you up. There's no pressure on buying a home here. It ain't going to be like it is up where you're at. It's not. Here's a fact, that the homes down here are in such high demand right now because of all the baby boomers retiring. They don't need you to buy a home. They want you to, but they don't need you to. And especially during baby boomer season, which is starting now, that if you don't buy a certain home, there's 5 people behind you that's got a checkbook and they're ready to write a check for it. And all he's got to do is make a phone call to one of the other people, and the odds are one of them's going to take it. That's a fact. So you don't have to worry about buying anything. If you want it, fine. If you don't, his whole attitude is going to be, okay, let's move on. He's not going to try to force you in anything. Got any questions about the house, about structure of the house, about if I buy a lot, what can I do? If I custom build my own house, what are my options? Ask them those kind of questions, and they're more than glad to help you out. 3 days, we'll say about 3 days though. That's really not a lot of time here. It really isn't. To even you get a gist of things. What you can do in 3 days is take a day. You're going to go around and look at some houses with the real estate guy, whoever it may be, and have lunch and all this and that. And then you're going to take a day on your own, if you can, if you got a car. I don't know if you're flying or driving, you also didn't say. But if you have a car, you can take it on your own and look around and go to some open houses and things like that. If you have a golf cart, go for a golf cart trip. Go through some neighborhoods, see how the golf cart trails are. Get an idea about what that's like to travel down here in a golf cart. Go to a couple, 3, 4 restaurants around. Go to Brownwood. Go to Lake Sumter. I highly recommend those 2 squares. Go at night when the band's playing. The bands at all the squares start at 5 o'clock. They end at 9 o'clock. So go to the squares at night and get an idea. Talk to people that live there. Ask them, do you live here? Where do you live at? Well, what do you think? What do you find good? What do you find bad? Just talk to people. They're more than glad. People love to talk about their neighborhoods. Everybody thinks they live in the best neighborhood. I think I live in the best neighborhood. That's just the way it is. So, 3 days, no, it's not enough. 7 would be better, 5 would be better, 7 would be better. I don't know how long it really takes to get a really good idea of what's going on. But I will say, the odds are you're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to look at so many houses with your realtor, and you're going to get so many prices all over the place, Lake Sumter to Brownwood to Finney, and you're going to be overwhelmed. And you're going to have to go home. Don't buy anything. Go home and take all this information with you and think about it, because it's overwhelming. This place is not a small retirement place in the middle of a pasture field somewhere. Our retirement place is 3 counties big and growing. So it's hard. But you will come up to a conclusion, though, I think, when you leave. Your conclusion is going to be, I'm not sure where I'm going to buy. I'm not sure if I want to buy a new or pre-owned. I'm not sure really how much I really want to spend, but I like it. That's going to be your conclusion. I like it. Once again, though, if your sister is coming down, you're going to be the ultimate babysitter. You really need to think about one of the family parks, because it's not going to fly with your neighbors. I'm just telling you right up front. All right, I answered that question. I hope it helps. I'm waiting for the house wash guy. I'm going to video that. I'm going to show you what low pressure house wash system is all about. So until then, I'll see all you on the other side, and keep the questions coming. I'm glad to answer them if I can.